Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Alliterations. Today, I'm going to be tackling uh, a much older work than what I usually do. That is Thomas More, St. Thomas More, if you're of the Catholic persuasion. And his seminal work is his only commonly known major work, Utopia. Uh, and this is a really interesting book. This isn't going to be a straight up review of it. I mean, I have my opinions of it, but more so, this is going to be just some of the odd observations I noticed when I was reading through it, which I overall liked the book. To get that out of the way. Um, or maybe I should say it wasn't a book that I truly loved, but I'm really intrigued by it. And so I think I will come back to it in the future, which I think is a really good hallmark of any great work of literature, is something that you know you're going to come back to. And hence why we're talking about it here. So again, this is a really interesting work. As somebody who's familiar with Catholic theology, being Catholic, uh, having a Catholic upbringing, uh, this work stands out in a lot of different ways because it is, in at least certain parts of it, decidedly not Catholic. One instance of that is uh, this work never says the word, but effectively promotes the idea of euthanasia for older people who are not contributing to society. So the idea of this book is that it's a guy who is not Thomas More, but essentially is Thomas More, uh, talking to his friend about the great society he lives in, Utopia, uh, and how all the inner workings of the society work. Uh, and one of the more interesting ones, in my perspective, uh, was, like I said, the idea of euthanasia. I don't know how big of an issue that was in Thomas More's time, the idea of euthanasia. It's not a huge issue today. It's a smaller subset of the pro-life, pro-choice discussion. Uh, but it is an important issue for Catholics, and it's a really interesting way to take to look at it, because more is seen on many people on the America, the political right, who are Catholics, who are uh, the best way to describe it, even though it's not really a good way, but the best way to describe it is traditional or conservative Catholics, which I actually disagree with that terminology, but that's what common parlance will dictate to us. They love Thomas More. I think he's a great hero. Uh, I wonder how many have actually read Utopia and seen that euthanasia is on his list of uh, good things to do, uh, which is a curious position for a conservative right of center, oftentimes far right of center, uh, traditional Catholic perspective. Uh, but yeah, it's neither here nor there. It's not about this. It's not about politics. It's about the book. Uh, so I found that particularly interesting. There were a couple other passages I found really interesting. Uh, One of the other main ones was his outlook on the priesthood. And he writes in there that no one in our society is held in higher esteem than the priests, uh, and the priests. No one can effectively challenge a priest. No one can charge them with a crime. No one can strip them of their priesthood, or in those very rare occasions when it happens, uh, it's when somebody is considered to be unholy, uncouth, unclean, and to have vacated his priestly responsibilities. but that they should be held in the highest esteem, and that they are only chosen for the priesthood because, not because they are held in the highest esteem, but because they have shown themselves to be good and holy people. And I think that's a really interesting thing to look at too, again, especially in our common political world. You know, I said this isn't going to be about politics, and it's not really about politics, but I also like to, draw together past and the present when I can. Especially given all the discussion in the recent months about presidential in the United States again, presidential candidacy, competency, the idea that they are immune and that they need to be of good, strong moral character. I think this really speaks to this section that they can be immune from prosecution, from being charged with crimes, from public backlash, only if they themselves are actually virtuous people. And I think that because we held them in such high esteem, that they are the pinnacle of our society, that we need to make sure that they have maintained their oath of being respectable, virtuous individuals. And like I said, I think that is relevant, not just today. I think it's been relevant throughout all human history. But has a particular poignancy in the last, especially when I read it a month or 6 weeks ago, and it had a particular poignancy to it that really struck me. Sometimes it's one of those things where it's actually kind of fun where you're reading something and something just jumps right out at you and just slaps you in the face, just says, this is one of the most important things you're going to be reading for a while. And this is going to have a direct impact on how you think about things. And I think that's fantastic. And I think that it's really encouraging, a really encouraging sign for other people to read or reread Utopia. And I believe I myself will read or reread it again, possibly in the near future, possibly 10 years from now. I don't know. But again, to me, that's the hallmark of a really great piece of literature, something where you will come back to it and you will find appreciation for it. Maybe something that you hadn't noticed before, something that you took note of but didn't pay it too much mind, or maybe something that spoke to you real clearly, again, slap you across the face and said, "Al, better look at this." And then you look at, well, why did I look at that? What was so important? What was so impactful about this? So like I said, I would recommend reading St. Thomas More's Utopia. It's a pretty short read. It's 80 pages, 90 pages. Easy to get through in a day. Not hard reading. The biggest complaint about it, in my perspective, as someone who reads these sorts of things, nothing happens in it. It's not a story exactly. It's a list of observations, kind of like what I'm doing here. So in that way, I'm kind of giving you a feel of what Utopia will be like. But read it because it's much better done than what I'm doing. So, anyways, thank you again. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share this video with somebody who you think might get a kick out of reading Utopia, or who might benefit from reading it. And have a good day.